Here with more reaction, former Secretary of State and distinguished fellow at the Hudson Institute, Mike Pompeo, is with us. Mr. Secretary, good to see us. Let me start with the China exchange, because that exchange was, we were lectured by China. Our Secretary of State then apologized rather than push back on all of their human rights abuses, which I find unconscionable.
Sean, thanks for having me on. It was embarrassing, as you said, but more importantly, it's dangerous. When the Chinese Communist Party sees weakness, perceives weakness, they'll act just like you saw in that room in Anchorage yesterday. You've seen them now observe what the administration is doing with Iran. They've seen us get back into the Paris Climate Accords, an enormous gift to the Chinese Communist Party. They've seen us rejoin the World Health Organization, which gave the Chinese a complete pass for the Wuhan virus. When they sense this weakness, they'll act just as they did. They will bully us. They will take advantage of us. We need leadership from the United States that demonstrates resolve with respect to the Chinese Communist Party, the way President Trump and our team did. If we don't do that, Sean, we're in an awful lot of trouble. There is real risk. Weakness begets war. It begets hostility. And it appears that the Chinese Communist Party believes that this administration will be weak on China.
Let me just put you in that position. Let's say this was you yesterday. I've known you a long time. You're a pretty tough guy. What would your response have been?
Yeah, I would have called it out for exactly what it is. This idea somehow that America isn't a beacon of democracy around the world, that's just nonsense, and it is crazy for them to make that attack. You know, they mentioned, too, you shouldn't forget, Sean, they mentioned Black Lives Matter as part of the reason they think American democracy is in decline. Those are running buddies of Marxist-Leninists all around the world. And so when they see a Democrat Party that is so deeply tied to the Black Lives Matter movement, I think they sense that America may well be in decline. I would have made clear that America stands for protecting its own. I would have reiterated our views about America first. We would have talked about the greatness and the exceptionalism of our nation, and we would have called them out for what they did to the world with this virus that has destroyed millions of lives. We've lost millions of lives and billions of dollars worth of wealth. It is unacceptable that the administration didn't push back in that way.
Remember, they put a travel ban in effect themselves. If you were in Wuhan province, you were not allowed to travel to the rest of China. If you were at any other part of China, you were not allowed to travel into the Wuhan province, back and forth. But you could travel around the world. They knew enough to protect their country at that time. Let's go to yesterday, and my interpretation is Vladimir Putin took a big shot at Joe Biden by basically saying, fine, you want to call me a killer? Let's debate it tomorrow. And, oh, I hope you're feeling better. How did you interpret it? I don't know how I did.
Well, Sean, you can't imagine that something like that would have happened with President Trump and our administration. It's implausible that Vladimir Putin would have acted in that way. What the Russians came to understand is that we were going to find places where we could work together when we could, so be it. But when we couldn't, when they acted in ways that were inconsistent with protecting America, we took real action, whether that was providing defensive systems to the Ukrainians or calling them out for their abuses around the world. You know, they took Crimea under the Obama administration. It appears the Biden administration is going to be pretty weak, too. I think Vladimir Putin senses that. This is really dangerous for the United States.
Yeah. Last question. I heard a rumor you might be going to Iowa, giving speeches in Iowa. I just heard it. I don't know. People make interpretations when they hear that people are making speeches to Iowa. Anything you want to add to that?
Sure. I'm happy I'm going to Iowa. I'm going to campaign on behalf of Congresswoman out there. It's going to be a lot of fun. It'll be good work. I'm going to Nebraska and Texas, too. It'll be a lot of fun, Sean. The conservative movement matters to me. I'm going to keep working at it.
I have no doubt that we have some really strong conservative voices like yours, and you'll be playing an important part in getting the country back on track after the mess is left by this administration. Mr. Secretary, thank you.